Character is destiny. I chose to start with this quote from Heraclitus because character is not what you are, it's what you do. For Heraclitus, character is the sum of your habits, your discipline, how you handle difficulty, and how you carry yourself in general. Your character is the sum of your actions, not of your genetics. So when Heraclitus says that character is destiny, he means that your future is shaped by your pattern of behavior, not by the biology you inherited. So I chose this quote because it reflects or it challenges what I want to go through in this episode. I want to talk about the DNA tests and everything around it in the fitness industry. So we hear a lot of people doing DNA tests, genetic testing. They give us a lot of information. I recently did one and I want to share it with you later in this video. They give you a lot of information. What I think about all the information provided, is there a part that is reliable, scientifically based on evidence, and whether some of it is just filling the pages. So let's dive into the DNA and genetic testing and its implication on how we see ourselves, and actually our constant search for knowing ourselves, for looking into something that might uncover who we really are. Friends, some of you might have heard about the DNA fitness testing, the genetic testing. If you're someone like me, I'm always wanting to know more about myself, figure out more about my biology, my psychology. I want to understand more and more about myself. Is that good? Is that bad? I don't know. It's for you to judge. For me, I think I can dig into these things without being super obsessed about it. So recently I did a DNA fitness test and I found the results to be interesting to share. Some of the results are based on solid scientific evidence. Some are kind of predictions. So I will tell you exactly how these fitness tests work and then go through the 3 sections of this DNA test. So in these fitness tests, they don't sequence your entire genome. They just look at a handful of tiny genetic spelling differences called SNPs. Literally single letters in your DNA. One person has an A, one person has a G. That's it. That's the insight. The company takes these results, these statistical nudges, and throw it in their own algorithm and spits out bold claims such as you are more prone for strength training, you recover faster, etc. That leap from microscopic data to grand declarations, that's where science turns into storytelling. So there's a part that's scientific, that's solid, evidence-based, but some big part of it, most of it, is storytelling. Some parts such as caffeine metabolism, alcohol metabolism, there's some enzymes and genetic tendencies for metabolizing caffeine and alcohol, some vitamin pathways, collagen related injury risks. Those things have solid evidence-based okay? So the middle layer is kind of useful, but it's not as scientific as the first one. So for example, you are prone for strength training or for endurance tendencies, injury sensitivity, VO2 max potential. So these things are to direct you, but they do not dictate what you are. Okay? And then after the first part, which is scientific based, the second part, which is halfway, the third part, which is some kind of a fantasy world. There is something called motivation genes, ideal training type, best macros for you. Actually, that's not science, that's just genetic astrology. So people should not be really reading too much into these things. They should be taking everything with a grain of salt, but some things should be taken with less salt, some things with lots of salt and pepper. All right, and here's the philosophical bottom line from the first part. These tests give you tendencies and not truth. They hint a limit, but limits only matter if you kneel to them. And that's very important. Biology sets the stage, but your discipline decides the script. Okay, don't use these results to justify your potential or justify your weakness or justify your limitation. So without naming the company that I did my DNA test with, I will just double click on the category with real scientific weight just because I think it's the one that is most interesting and might give you some insight. It didn't give me anything that I didn't know, but it kind of put a label on it. So I already knew that I metabolize caffeine faster because I could drink caffeine at the end of the day and it doesn't interrupt my sleep very much. And I know a lot of people that might, if they have one sip of coffee in the afternoon, they might not be able to sleep or their sleep would be catastrophic. So this caffeine metabolism is due to an enzyme called CYP1A2. You don't need to know that, but the test will tell you about this enzyme. And also, for example, I already knew that I can tolerate alcohol much better than other people, but it gave me some sort of a label to it, which is ALDH2. This is what flushes the alcohol faster. I am okay normal with lactose intolerance. With vitamin processing, I ended up having a deficiency with vitamin 6. And this is practically a nice and legitimate thing that you can have some information and use it in your quest for a better health. All right. Some collagen and tendon genes, which will tell you if you're prone to injury or not prone to injury. So these things, whether you have these enzymes or not, might be nice and fun to know. Is it worth paying the money for it? I don't know. Depends how much money you have. Depends if you're interested in these things or not. Okay, this is basically what I wanted to double click on, the scientific part. And just to take between parentheses here, that if you drink more alcohol, you become more tolerant to alcohol. The same thing goes to coffee. So it's also your consumption matters, your lifestyle matters. And a lot of these assumptions here are taking with a lot of environmental influences. So you need to understand that most things are influenced by your environment as well. The other part of this test, which is half-half between scientific and evidence-based and more prediction and genetic astrology, is where they tell you if you have more or prone to have more muscles, fast twitch muscle fibers or slow twitch muscle fibers. So these inclinations here, they kind of nudge you into a certain direction. So for example, I always knew, because I always did these sports, that I had fast twitch muscle fibers, more explosive, more faster running, sprinting, okay, jumping, these things. I already knew these things, and you can kind of know if you have more of this muscle fiber or not. If you don't, you can consult a trainer, you can do some tests. If you would like to do a genetic test, you can do that, but this information is half-half. It stands on the edge between evidence-based and predictions. General advice. So there's a lot of general advice in these genetic tests. Okay, it's not wrong or right, but it's not specifically about you. So they see some kind of correlation that happens in their database in general between people, and they kind of tell you that if you fall, or if you might be close, or you fall in this correlation, you are someone who has this type of metabolism, or this or this or that. Okay, so it's not really reading into your specific genetic makeup. That's what your the complete full genome deciphering does, but this test barely scratches the surface of these things. I will go back and do a short comparison between this test that I did and the really expensive and intensive test that you can probably do in some places, but here in the Netherlands, for example, it's not possible to do it. I've asked, you can do it with companies outside of the Netherlands. If someone knows any companies that do these things with a kind of acceptable price, let me know. Just for fun, let's do a comparison between a DNA fitness test and full genome sequencing. What it actually analyzes, the fitness test analyzes 100 to 300 SNPs, tiny genetic variations. When it comes to the full genome sequencing, 3 billion base pairs, so your entire DNA. The depth of information, superficial, complete blueprint, everything detectable. There's a big difference. So what you learn, traits like caffeine metabolism, vitamins, injury risk, this is in the fitness test, and in the full genome sequencing, all traits and risks of disease, ancestry, and rare variants. So accuracy is beyond comparison here. And the uses, for example, this is okay, the fitness test, if you want to use it as a person who's willing to maybe zoom in on their health, you can use that. But if you really want a full sequencing, medical, clinical, ancestry, deep health analysis, you need to do the full genome sequencing, which is a bit, well, more expensive. So these are the things. Let's jump to the cost. So as you can see, the cost of the fitness test is between 100 and 300, and the genome sequencing can go up to 2,000. So it's big difference. But again, it depends on your why you want to do these things. If you are worried about some kind of a genetic disease or some kind of a trait, it's of course better to do. You should only do the genetic sequencing if you're worried about these things and you have the means for it. If you're someone who just wants to know a bit about their health and nutrition, maybe some nutritional advice, if you have lactose intolerance or not, probably you'd know that these things without paying $300 or euros. All right. So this is basically on the part that covers the scientific, the semi-scientific, and the bullcrap kind of part. Reflecting on these DNA tests, putting the philosophical hat and looking into these DNA tests, I couldn't overlook the hunger that we always have for learning more about ourselves, understanding ourselves better, our physique, our physical self, our psychology, even our soul. We always wanted to look into beyond what we can feel and what we can experience. We want to know more. The tools change from oracles to astrology to personality tests, hand palm reading, and now to DNA tests. But the urge to know more about ourselves does not change. And this is the human condition. We will hold on, we will grab very tight to a quasi-scientific thing such as these tests, for example. They are part of them which is scientific, but most of them are just general information. But we will hold on to these things rather than just live with uncertainty. Living with uncertainty can feel very chaotic, and I completely understand that. And these tests give us the illusion of data. So we have the illusion of that we understand our destiny through data. And the Stoics warn us about what is given and what is essential. For example, what is given is your body, your genetics, and what is essential is your habits and how you deal with what is given to you. And this is very important to understand, and this is something that you can keep in mind even if you decide to take these tests, even if you decide to do your personality test. But if your personality test tells you that, hey, you are this person or this person or that person, great. What matters is how you act in the world. What matters is how you carry yourself. It doesn't matter very much what your genetic say about your personality. It doesn't matter what your genetics say about if you have a disease or not, for sure. But about your personality, these things are not very much, they have roots in science, or they're not evidence-based. The truth is simple. Identity is not found in your genome. It's found in your actions, your discipline, your character. Meaning is not discovered through data. It's built through choices, day after day. Don't ask what can my genes and my DNA say about me. Ask what can I do with what I have been given. So this question makes the big difference here. No one can decide what cards you have been dealt, but you can decide how to play the cards that you have been dealt. And big words from someone who doesn't believe in free will, for sure. But I still believe that you are the person who decides. You are the writer of your own play. Even if your data tells you about some holes on your path, some problems that you might have, some kind of personality traits that you're not very comfortable with, or you thought that you have some different personality traits. You are still the captain of the ship, and you decide how to steer that ship into your future goals and your future self. I hope you like this video. Please comment, like, subscribe, and share, and see you next time.